Boeing and Machinists are back at the negotiating table Monday morning after more than a week at a stalemate. The International Association of Machinists said Boeing's last offer disrespected the entire union after the company released the terms to the public before the union had responded. Even then, 80% of machinists rejected the offer that included 30% raises and doubling the ratification bonus to $6,000. IAM 751 says Monday's meeting is another critical opportunity to push for the priorities of their membership, while Boeing's new CEO told employees getting to a resolution is a priority. Non-striking employees are also taking hits. Tens of thousands are facing rolling furloughs as Boeing bleeds cash from the strike and lack of production. The 737 MAX is a big revenue driver for the company. Deliveries are already behind schedule, and the strike is halting all progress. On the fourth week of this strike, I want to bring back top aviation analyst and managing director of Aerodynamic Advisory, Richard Abulafia. Richard, we spoke when the strike had pretty much just started. And, maybe I do want to put you on the spot here, but you thought that it would be pretty quick. Obviously entering our fourth week now. Are you surprised at the length of the strike?
Yeah, I really am. And I feel a little embarrassed because I did indeed say this would be brief. I thought the arrival of new management with a lot of experience and understanding in the industry would make things different, but that doesn't appear to be the case at all, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I guess understanding in the industry doesn't necessarily equate to being very good at labor relations. I'm curious your opinion on this, based on your comments and other people's comments about Kelly Ortberg. Really thought that this would be someone who would be able to bring these two groups together, but it appears that the company made a huge misstep in the last offer after they, sent it out to the public before hearing back from the negotiating team. Do you think that that was something that was Ortberg's decision, or do you think that he was influenced by the long-standing culture that we've seen at Boeing?
I wish I knew for sure. The first time around, of course, it was perfectly understandable because they did have an agreement with the IAM 751 management, and it appeared everybody kind of underestimated the level of grievance and hostility in the rank and file, the understandable grievances that had built up over a decade and a half or more of mistreatment. But the second time was a complete baffler. It really was. It's possible that, Ortberg just comes from a very different culture, or just doesn't quite understand what's going on here. Or it's possible that he was blindsided by the institutional, confrontational approach that Boeing management has taken, maybe even the board. It's just impossible to say at this point, I'm afraid.
But what happened really did feel like Boeing culture of old, when I know that they're trying to move into a different direction. Now that both parties are back at the negotiating table after more than a week at a stalemate, and they've got federal negotiators there in the middle of it, do you think that the next contract that we see, the next contract offer, will be the winner?
I sure hope so. I mean, that's the thing. This is absolutely not something that should be stuck. You look at the role of what we call touch labor in the manufacturing process. It's maybe 5-6% of the cost of an aircraft. And not only that, but there are various inflationary pass-through provisions in sales contracts. So even if they did boost wages by 40% or so, this wouldn't really show up in terms of commercial competitiveness. The only possible the only possible sticking point is if Boeing absolutely doesn't want to provide a structured pension program and the workers insist upon it. That's about the only thing I could think of that would prevent two sincere parties from reaching a relatively quick agreement.
But that demand is one on the labor side that they haven't had success in other industries. Boeing employees lost their pension a decade ago. To be able to get it back when pensions are, largely a thing of the past, less than 10% of workers have one today. Do you envision that Boeing would come to the table with some sort of pension agreement?
No. I think, the problem, of course, with a pension is that in a cyclical industry, you have all these big costs you have to keep paying. And as the car companies found out, that can be disastrous. on the other hand, if you really do believe, as I hope Boeing management would, that there is a pretty strong long-term future for this industry without maybe some of the crazy cycles we've seen in the past, and you also believe that good labor relations and talent retention are a strategic priority, you might even regard a structured pension program as a form of competitive enhancement for the company. But that would require a big leap of faith, if you will.
How much longer can Boeing withstand this strike?
Yeah, they're burning through a lot of cash, right?
Yeah.
And the talk right now is whether or not they'll do a $10 billion equity raise, as some people have posited they should. They probably could do that. It might not be the easiest sell for investors, but, well, Boeing is a blue chip, so they could probably pull it off. Other than that, I can't imagine anything that would prevent the company from going the full, 2 months that you've seen for the maximum duration of a strike of this time. But then again, given all the cash that's not coming in and all the pain they're causing their suppliers, you have to ask why. Why can't this be settled?
Yeah, and you're talking about the financial situation. You mentioned the possibility of a stock sale, and I think the company would want to have a resolution to the strike before raising that type of capital. What about their credit rating? What about what else is going on behind the scenes? I mean, there's a lot at stake here with Boeing as it continues to bleed cash, and tens of thousands of workers not affiliated with the strike are also being furloughed.
Yes, that's right. Because, of course, when they stop ordering things and halt the production ramp that so many of their suppliers had been facilitizing for and taking out, loans for and hiring people for, it's extremely damaging to an awful lot of companies and jobs in the industry. It's not a happy story. I think, from Boeing's standpoint, just looking at their own concerns, the cost of any increase in wages and whatever else, nothing like the damage in cash that's not coming in from deliveries.
Yeah, well, we'll continue to watch this closely. It doesn't sound like we have enough of a resolution or confidence right now, Richard, that an agreement will be reached soon, but certainly hope that there will be one, right?
Yeah, we certainly do. And the mistakes made with the last offer were so obvious, that hopefully if they do things different this time, that can all be avoided and maybe get to a quicker resolution.
Yeah, it is strange, the timeline we've gone through right now, from a negotiated offer being put to the workers that the union agreed upon, to that turning into a strike, to turning into, a lot of animosity toward the next offer and what happens there. So now they're back at the table, and we'll just have to follow it really closely. Managing Director of Aerodynamic Advisory, Richard Abulafia, thank you so much for your expertise.
My pleasure. Thank you.